I still remember the way the room felt that day. Too quiet, too polished, too powerful for someone like me, or at least that's how they made me feel. I stood there, hands slightly shaking, clicking through my pitch deck while a row of investors stared back at me with carefully neutral faces. I had rehearsed this moment 100 times, every slide, every metric, every sentence. This startup wasn't just an idea. It was years of sleepless nights, borrowed money, and belief stacked on belief. And for 10 minutes, they listened, or at least I thought they did. Then one of them leaned back in his chair, folded his arms, and said the words that would echo in my head for years: "I don't see this going anywhere." Another followed up with a polite smile. "The market's too crowded. Your background doesn't inspire confidence. Interesting idea, but not investable. Interesting, but not worth betting on." I nodded. I thanked them. I packed my laptop, and I walked out of that glass-walled conference room feeling smaller than I ever had in my life. The aftermath no one sees. What people don't talk about is what happens after rejection. The elevator ride down where you replay every sentence you said wrong. The walk outside where the city keeps moving, completely unaware that your dream just got crushed. The moment you sit in your car or on a bench or on the floor of your apartment and ask yourself the most dangerous question of all: what if they're right? That night, I didn't celebrate learning experiences. I didn't post motivational quotes. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how I'd explain this failure to the people who believed in me. But somewhere between disappointment and exhaustion, something else crept in. Anger. Not loud anger, quiet anger. The kind that burns slow and steady. Because while they dismissed my pitch, they didn't see the customers already using my product. They didn't see the late nights. They didn't see the traction that didn't fit neatly into their spreadsheets. And that's when I made a decision. If they weren't going to fund my belief, I'd fund it myself with work. Turning no into obsession, I went back to the drawing board. Not because my idea was dead, but because it wasn't sharp enough yet. I rebuilt the product feature by feature. I talked to users instead of investors. I fixed problems no one wanted to acknowledge. I learned skills I couldn't afford to hire for. There were months when growth looked like a rounding error. Weeks when wins were so small no one else would notice. But I noticed. One paying customer turned into 10. 10 turned into 100. 100 turned into something undeniable. Slowly, people started joining me. Not because we were successful, but because they believed in where we were going. We weren't flashy, we weren't funded, but we were relentless. And that rejection, the one that almost broke me, became the standard I refused to fall below. The call that changed everything. Years later, my phone rang on a random afternoon. I almost didn't answer. On the other end was a calm voice that said, "Hi, this is Forbes. We'd like to feature your company." I laughed, out loud. I thought it was a mistake. They explained why they were calling: our growth, our impact, the problem we'd solve that no one else could. When the call ended, I just sat there in silence. Because in that moment, every memory came flooding back. That boardroom, those dismissive smiles, that walkout feeling invisible, and now this, from invisible to unmissable. The interview process felt surreal, the photo shoot felt unreal, and when the issue finally arrived, I held it in my hands like it might disappear. There it was, my face, my company, my story, on the cover of Forbes, not because someone gave me permission, but because I refused to quit when I was told no. I didn't send the magazine to the investors who dismissed me. I didn't need to. Success has a way of finding its own audience. What that moment really meant, the cover didn't erase the struggle. It didn't make the journey easy in hindsight, but it proved something that changed me forever. Rejection is not a verdict, it's a filter. It separates the people who stop from the people who adapt. And if you're hearing no right now, if someone just dismissed your idea, your dream, your potential, remember this: the same people who doubt you today may one day learn your name from a headline. And by then, you won't need their approval anymore.